Well, this is really exciting, Jordan. We're in our first podcast for Fit Bells.
Yes, welcome listeners, viewers.
Th-
Uh,
This is a journey that is going to be fun in terms of all of our knowledge that we have of fitness, movement, bar, Pilates, reformer, and our inspiration thereof.
so it will open up new, I guess, possibilities for how, listeners view fitness or viewers.
And be inspired by us, we hope.
Hopefully. Yeah, we like that.
We do like that. So Jordan and I have known each other. I was trying to think about how long it's been. Has it been 10 years
It's
or
been about almost 10 years.
10 years? And we met a long time ago at Pure Bar. And Pure Bar, some of you might know, is a franchise. And there are two locations here in South Florida, Palm Beach Gardens and in Jupiter. And I actually took Jordan's very first class
Yeah.
that she taught at Pure Bar. And I remember it well. It was still fabulous and wonderful, but obviously there's so much to learn and do. And I was pretty impressed. So I've always loved her style of teaching, and we have a lot of that in common in terms of liking difficult, challenging routines. And we've also become really good friends.
Yeah. And so let's see. It's been, the Pure Bar itself has kind of transitioned since it first was because Exponential Fitness bought it out. So now it's a little bit more corporate, I would say. And then not knocking anybody, but sometimes I think studios will pick people because they're available, not because they can actually teach a class.
Yeah.
So there's, being in this industry, you learn that there's so much more that goes into it than just like memorizing reps and like cues. The other side of it, of course, is putting together a workout, which I think it's great. It's challenging,
It
but
is,
it's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're really good at that. That's one of the things I always love about all of your classes is the challenging choreo, because not everyone does that
No.
as well as Jordan does.
You have to have a flow. I always say a flow is important. Keep the class moving, not any awkward, transitions. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at that. We're in symphony.
Yes.
So I thought what would be a really good starting point is kind of to talk about what our inspiration was to fitness. Maybe if there was somebody in our lives as we were growing up that kind of inspired us to the fitness journey. So I'll put that question to you first, my friend.
Okay. So I'm an 80s kid. Believe it. I know.
I know.
I know. It's crazy. But my mother growing up was not very, she wasn't really active, which is, she wasn't like a fitness persona. My dad was a big runner and stuff. He did a lot of running. But my mom used to get those women's magazines back in the day, like Red Book or whatever, and they always had the like workouts in you go through it and there's a certain portion where it's like your at-home workouts, and typically they're like Jane Fonda based or whatever.
Right. Well, she was so big in the 80s, so.
Yeah. So, I was always like, oh, like I loved to dance and I loved ballet. And I remember I'd always take my mom's magazines and I'd try like to mimic these moves that they would show you, like your at-home workout, like leg lifts. And it just kind of like, I really gravitated toward like being able to be creative in that physical sense. So I think a lot of it came from, doing dance at an early age. And then I was talking to a client about this today. My mother, so when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I want to be a professional ballerina. And my mom's like, oh no, you're never going to be too tall. You're not going to be tall or skinny enough to do that, like professionally. And it gave me kind of a complex.
Oh my God, body shaming was a thing even back then?
It was, but it gave me a little bit of a complex. So I was like, well, so then, as I got older, I want to say I started teaching fitness. My first fitness class, I was 20 years old. I, growing up, went to a gym with my brother. Like, it was like they had, the free weights, the classes, the cardio. It was a mom and pop gym. So I knew the owners pretty well. And when I was 20 years old, they were expanding and offering fitness classes in different formats. So I auditioned for them, and then I got my group certification, and I was teaching. My first two classes one was like a sculpting class. It was like a little cardio and free weights. And then my other class I remember very well was called Ab Assault.
Ooh, I like the name of that.
It was
core is one of my most favorite things to work out.
Oh no, we love a good core
we love
work.
a good core burn.
50 minutes of core work And I had a lot of guys. And, my now husband always said it's because you were 20 something years old. And I'm like, no, because it was hard. And I still stay tried and true to that to today. I don't want to give anybody a workout where it's like too easy. But also, as I've gotten older, I've learned that I also have to make it a little bit more modifiable so that, you can kind of cater to all levels, which has been a learning curve for me. But, and then since then, I've kind of just stuck with it, worked for a few different studios, and here we are today, still doing it. But this time I'm doing it full time, which is great.
I know. I'm really jealous about that. Full time is like my goal at some point.
Yeah. And then we have Colleen. So Colleen's.
Well, I don't know. What can I say about Colleen? Colleen has always been an athlete. I started playing soccer, I think, right after I learned how to walk. My dad was a huge athlete. He was a big football and baseball player. So I think for me, a lot of the fitness gene was passed on from him to me. I grew up in Connecticut, and I used to watch him go out jogging at the crack of dawn, and he'd come back even in the wintertime. He'd look like the abominable snowman.
Love that.
Because his eyelashes were all crusted with snow and sleet and rain and everything.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. So I would say to my mom, I'm like, that's so cool. Dad is really, really into this. I love it. And she'd say, well, when you get older, why don't you go out running with him? And so by the time I was 7 or 8, there I was out in the streets in West Hartford, Connecticut, jogging with him and his good friend, Borden Painter. They were both professors at Trinity in Hartford. So I've always been up super early because of that. I would say he was my inspiration for that. And then when I got a bit older, he would take me to the gym and show me some of his lifting techniques.
I love that.
And my mom would say, no, Ward, that's my dad's name. You can't do that to Colleen. Her development, she's not ready to lift and do all those things. You're going to throw her body off. And my father said, well, I beg to differ, Kathy. And so there I was at 8 or 9 years old in the gym with free weights. And everywhere I go now, I travel with my weights, and I just love weight training. And then from there, it kind of evolved. And I would say I also did dance. My mom was into ballet, speaking of ballet. So I did do that. So I had both the feminine side and both the male kind of influence in my inspiration to fitness and athleticism. So I was in the Nutcracker.
Yes, me too.
When I was about 4 or 5, the Bonbon, then you progressed to the Angel. Never got as far as playing Clara, but did do that, and then went into modern dance and tap and all those different genres. And on the side, I was doing soccer in the fall, and in the spring, I was doing softball. So carried that through. And then really, I would say what inspired me beyond that were coaches. Coaches were such an inspiration to me when I was on the soccer field, to get faster and stronger, get into the gym, stay in the gym, do your weight training. And from the age of 10 or 11 on, I was in the gym. So I consider myself a proud gym rat, and I like that.
No, absolutely. It's always good. Yeah, growing up, my sport of choice was running. I did cross country all intermediate school through high school, 1 year of college, and that was it. And now I'm like, me and cardio don't have the best relationship anymore.
And why is that?
We're getting back to it. I always have this kind of selfish behavior. It's like, oh, I'm lifting, so I'm gonna focus on that. Or if I was running, I'm running, 20 miles a week. So I've learned as I've gotten older, you kind of have to find that balance. You have to do the weight training, but you also need the cardio. Mm-hmm. It's good for your heart, but then also it helps with your VO2 max. So when you're training, you can take on a heavier load. You can talk while you're running, all these things. So
the good VO2 max. So for example, I've been studying that a lot because yours truly here has finally decided to take her National Association of Sports Medicine course for the CPT training. So I've been a 25-year plus advertising media sales professional in our business and in advertising agencies before that. But fitness has always been my side passion. So I thought, you know what? This is it. Now or never. I'm taking this darn course, and I'm going to pass that exam to get my CPT training. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I know everyone says the first time you take it, most people fail. So
I did not pass.
That VO2 max thing is, and all those different things to remember, it's a little bit challenging, but we'll get there day by day.
It's the memerization aspect. And, I always say some things you won't retain as well if you're not really interested in it. Math for me. I didn't do well in math, But it's all about how you learn and kind of taking that approach. But yes, most people the first time it is, I will say that it's like it was very hard. I went to college for 4 years, and I feel like that test was one of the hardest tests I ever took. And I didn't take it in college, so
Right, I know. I mean, I did take advanced placement chemistry, I think my second
yeah,
year in high school when I was in prep school in Connecticut. But after that, I stopped with all the science. I mean, I still had to do the math and all of that, but I'm an English major and a performing arts minor. So I'm more presenting, writing, that kind of thing. So it's definitely taking me out of my comfort zone. I'm very interested in working with people to make them the best version of themselves. So I think that in its of itself is an inspiration to
yeah,
just get down and study and get that damn credential, Colleen.
yeah. And it's fun. I always say it's fun when you have a client that you really vibe with. Like ideally, when I haven't met them yet, they're like a unicorn, but I would really love a client that would be like every single time, like yes, like I want my ass kicked every time. Those are hard to find, but we'll get there.
That's why we love each other,
Yeah,
Jordan. We
yep,
love a good ass kicking
yep.
in the
That's true.
gym.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to think of what else would be interesting to discuss. So I think for me personally, just getting to the gym and staying motivated is almost a full-time job for some, but for me, it's a labor of love. And as I get older, because I am a bit older than Jordan, believe it or not, no, just kidding. And there's more injuries that happen. Unfortunately, about a year and a half ago, I tore my knee apart in many different places, and I was on crutches for a while. Was able to self heal it, but getting back, I thought I'd never get back to the level of fitness that I was prior to that injury. And the body is amazing.
Mhm.
The body definitely, if you've trained it well, and as you get older, that's so key because when you do have an injury, God bless, you've got to get through that and get back again. And sometimes that's tough. I remember actually kind of falling into a depression of sorts
Yeah.
because I wasn't doing the same thing that I could do every single day and love to do. And my body was kind of rebelling because my endorphins were crashing. Everything around me was just plummeting. So I think fitness for me anyway has always been something that's been a positive and kept me going and motivated and strong both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and going down a path as I get older now, because believe it or not, I am 4 years away from being 60.
It's
Oh
crazy.
my God, I
I
can't
know.
even believe it.
It's crazy.
So even now, more so than ever, it's something that's important because your body, the more you move it, the better it's going to be. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it and lose your mobility. So you're much younger, but tell me what your
Uh,
thoughts are on
well, I'm
that.
interested because obviously, for viewers, you can see Colleen is in phenomenal shape. She's in better shape than some 20-year-olds, most.
Oh, thanks,
No, I will
Jordan.
say this. So
Thank
I
you.
always am interested in like, what keeps you motivated to go to the gym. Sometimes we get into these slumps where it's like, oh, like I'm doing the same routine, and you kind of were like, maybe I won't go today. So even for me in the industry, I try and hold myself accountable. I'm like, you have to practice what you preach. But then there's some days where I've been going like teaching classes all morning, and then maybe I have an afternoon client and it's like, okay, it's your turn to work out. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. So I'm always interested, like what keeps you motivated to make sure you commit that time to yourself and make sure you get in and get your workout done.
I think that's so key. And I think as women, that's one of the things that we sometimes don't do is prioritize our own health.
Yeah.
Women nowadays are working, obviously, raising kids, extracurriculars, the sports for the kids, the other activities, having a marriage, a relationship, whatever, walking dogs. Like it's a full time job on top of a full time job on top of a full time job. And lots of times I think women forget about prioritizing their health. So I think for me anyway, and I'm sure for you too, we're so passionate about fitness and how it makes us feel. And we want to inspire other people of both sexes. But a lot of times, especially women, they just forget about it because they say, I just can't fit it in. And there's really, in my opinion, I'm like Jordan, we're up at the crack of dawn before the birds, 4:30 in the morning. For lots of people, that sounds kind of weird, but I am at the gym 5 days a week, 5:15 a.m., and you can fit it in.
Yeah.
It's just a question of getting up a bit earlier, even if it's just 45 minutes or 30 minutes, just doing a power walk with some weights. You got to do
Yeah.
something. So, the older I get, the more I'm so happy that my journey with fitness has started at a very young age, because it's really helped me feel great all around as I get towards my 60s.
I know, it's crazy. And, I think also fitness also is age preventative. You meet so many people who've been they take care of themselves. They work out. I have one client who takes one of my classes. She's 80. Now, I think she had a facelift, but she looks
How dare
amazing.
she?
And then, some of the things she can do, I'm like, holy moly, like this is crazy for this woman. My motivation, it's a little bit more superficial. I'm like, listen, if you want to progress and be the best version of yourself, you have to take the steps every single day to get there.
Yeah.
And to Colleen's point, something's always better than nothing. So my trick to my trade is I call it the zombie hour, which is from 4 to 6.
The zombie 2 hours,
Yeah,
Jordan.
the zombie 2 hours. So in that time period, I'm like, all right, if you get up early and you do your workout before you go teach a class or see a client, you're going to be a better version of yourself. But also, it kind of helps me wake up my mind a little bit before I get into the craft. And I think I'm better to do that before I like go teach a class or see a client, because then I'm a little bit more sharper. Maybe have better energy throughout the room, and that's a huge part of the gig, is like you have to bring the good vibes. So that's kind of what keeps me going. And then I go through these things. I'm a human where I'm like, hey, I'm not doing it today. So it's always interesting, the little roller coaster as we get busy.
But don't you feel kind of badly? I often feel, maybe it's the Catholic guilt thing. I always feel guilty. I'm like, wait a minute. It's noon and I haven't done anything yet to move with my body or make myself feel good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel badly. Like even when I go on vacation, I pack like a carry-on of modalities.
Yeah.
Because I just have to do something again, even if it's just for 20 or 30 minutes. It just makes me feel better.
No, of
So
course. And I think my whole, like, as I've gotten older, I truly believe in balance. I'm like, listen, if you want that piece of cake, go ahead and have it. But then on the flip side of it, it's like, what are you going to do to like better your health in that aspect? So I've always, when I was younger, I was always like, this is just, you can't do this. You don't eat carbs, that whole thing. And then as I've gotten older, I've learned like you have to have the carbs to build the muscle, and you don't want to go through life like unhappy.
right.
There's so many people, and I'm not knocking this, but let's just stir the pot a little bit. There's so many people out there that like they won't drink because it's not beneficial to your health. But I'm like, if you want a glass of wine, have a glass of wine. Like,
Right.
you only have one life to live. Enjoy what life has to offer. Just don't
Yeah,
overindulge.
everything in moderation.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in that too, Jordan. And I actually have to say, I do get upset when I hear some of my friends say, "Oh my God, I can't have a sweet potato because it's carbs." I'm like, wait a minute. A
Yeah.
sweet potato, for example, is packed with nutrients. It helps your skin, the yellow color.
The
It's full of
fiber.
nutrients and fiber.
Yeah.
It's satiating. Do you want to have 3 sweet potatoes a day? No.
No.
But a half a sweet potato every day or every other day with some cinnamon on it to burn some extra fat, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And, on the weekends, have a couple of glasses of Prosecco, which I've learned has less sugar than wine. So I've
Yeah.
become a big Prosecco
Yeah.
lover myself. But I feel kind of sad because, as Jordan says, you really only have one life to live. And life is fleeting. I mean, like I said, I can't believe all the years have passed so quickly, and I'm heading to 60 in 4 short years now. So I say go ahead, live your life, but move. Whatever you do, you've got to move your body. It helps as you age. It helps with your emotions, your state of mind, and it's just so important. I can't emphasize that enough. And I feel so
Yeah.
happy and flattered that Jordan, my good friend here, agrees with me on this. And I think for the most part, we wanted to do this podcast to try to inspire other people
Yeah.
to move as well in whatever realm they enjoy doing so. Because if you don't enjoy what realm of fitness you're doing, you're not going to continue with it.
No, absolutely. And I think that goes back to that motivation aspect. So it's kind of like whatever, you kind of take joy out of. And sometimes for me, it's somebody yelling at me on a treadmill. Sometimes I like that, but whatever's going to get you there. There's so many different platforms of fitness now. There's so many options.
Right.
Their boutique fitness is huge right now with all these options. So what I'm just curious, you're at Lifetime, which has so many different options as far as like classes and workouts. What have you tried outside of Lifetime, like as far as boutique fitness that you really enjoy?
Okay. Well, I will say that, Pure Barre was a big part of my life. I actually started it in August of 2014 and was there right through January 2021, which of course is how we met
COVID,
years back.
yes.
And then from there, I'd been speaking to a lot of people about the reformer method with Pilates. And I had been on a reformer years back in my New York City days, but I just hadn't for a while because it's a little bit costly. But then I got into that form for a couple of years until unfortunately I blew my knee out. But that wasn't because of that. I just realized I was overtraining a bit too much. But I do enjoy Pilates, mat, and reformer, and of course the bar method and any kind of weight training.
Yeah.
I just love to push it to that degree because a lot of women mistakenly feel that they're going to bulk up by weight training, but that's not the case. We don't have enough testosterone in our body unless we're taking steroids and everything else to bulk up to the point where, you'd look like a shim.
Or you're eating like 3,000 like loaded calories a day to kind of
Right.
like add that mass. Yeah.
And studies have shown that the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day. So to answer that question, I just like to mix it up.
Yeah.
And there's so many different options there in terms of classes, both in a gym or taking your workout on the road. So just keeping going in that way and constantly thinking about how to challenge myself.
Yeah. I have recently, so I got kind of thrown into it and I'm like, oh, I kind of like this. One of the studios I teach at, one of their HIT instructors, when she took another job, so one day opened up and they're like, oh, you teach group fitness, you'll be great for this. And of course, I mean, I've been teaching now for like over almost 18 years and I've never taught a HIT class. I think I've taken one, maybe.
Which, on a side note, for those who might not know what HIT is,
High intensity interval training.
which sometimes, for example, if you don't know what that means, you almost feel like, is this like a class that's domestic violence?
Right. Or is this just like a male driven class?
Right.
But what it is it's, for a short period, you're spiking your heart rate and then you're bringing it back down. But it's a combination of strength training plus like high intensity cardio, but short spurts. So it's not like you're going to be doing jumping jacks for like 5 minutes. So I was like, holy moly. So I started teaching this about 3 weeks ago, which is fun because I can kind of put together a workout with like more traditional moves that you see, at a gym. And I had one client show up for a class and she was the only one in it. So I'm like, oh gosh, I guess I have to do this with her. And
what was her age range?
She's 65.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah. So 65 years old. She
Okay.
comes 4 days a week to take this class. And phenomenal shape. This woman picks up like 20-pound dumbbells to shoulder presses.
I love this woman.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, I guess I have to do it with you. And sometimes I always say, if you're not actually doing your workout, but you design it, you have no clue how it can be super challenging. So I'm like, oh, this was a great opportunity for me to try it. Let me tell you, I kicked my own ass. Like it was, I want to say with warm up, so 45-minute class, but we have stretch and warm up. So let's say 33 minutes of work and I burn like 248 calories, which typically for me, that's what I do in like maybe an hour, depending on the workout.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I like this. I think I need to incorporate this into like my weekly workouts because it's something different and kind of shocks the system for me.
Right.
So it's something new I found and I'm like, oh, I should like, try this more often. But it's always great, I think, to try new things that you may or may not know you like.
Yeah, exactly. Getting out of your comfort zone is so important. That's how we all grow. I mean, it sounds very kind of, I don't know, strange to just say that it's so simplistic, but it's true. You have to do things. What doesn't challenge you doesn't change you.
Yeah.
And it's really important to do stuff like that. So I'm glad that you did that and have started that kind of journey. For me, I'd like to try a kickboxing class.
Oh.
I have never tried that. I hear that it's amazing, the workout. So it's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
And maybe even getting a bit into some kind of martial arts, MMA training. Um, so that's down the road for me. I would like to look into that a bit more, but I am looking forward to doing something different.
So this would be a good, kind of thing to branch off to in our future episodes of different, platforms of fitness that we don't typically entertain, to kind of try them out and give us like the 2 cents. But I always say too, like, if you try, it's like food. If you try it, you
Right.
don't like it, you don't
You
have
don't
to
have
keep
to have
eating.
it again.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always good to know, like, at least you try. I always say in life and in fitness, sometimes just take a little risk. Like, if you're afraid to pick up that 25 dumbbell, but you've been, pressing 20s for so long, you don't know unless you try. Maybe you only do two
Two
reps.
reps,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it's something. So that's always.
Doing something is better than doing nothing.
Mhm.
And I think if there's any kind of takeaway from what we're trying to do with Fit Bells, which is aptly named our podcast name, is that doing something is better than nothing. And the only excuse is your excuse,
Yeah.
right? There is really, you can always fit some kind of movement in the day. It might take away from 10, 15 minutes of screen time, but at a certain point, we all are on our screens too much. We got to
Absolutely.
stop that a bit. I mean, I'm so excited to see that physical fitness, for example, is coming back into schools, with the
Yes.
president's physical fitness test. So that's exciting because, again, we started off this podcast by saying who inspired us. And both Jordan and I said it really was our parents
Mhm.
in some degree that inspired us to our journey of fitness. So if you don't grow up with it or see it with your parents doing it, it's going to be harder.
Yeah. I have a son who is 18 crazy, and he's never been a big, like, he's been like straight up video games, computers, that's the generation now,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But I've always, since he's been little, made him do something physical. I have videos of this poor kid on the treadmill at like 10 years old. I'm like, you just got to do something,
Yeah.
and even when we moved to South Florida, I wasn't working as much as I have been the past 5 years, but I would make him do like a walk run with me. I'm like, you are a kid. You should be able to run for like 5 minutes.
Right.
So I've tried to instill that in him. I guess the past 3 years of his high school career, this poor kid, I would make him get up one day a week at 4:20 in the morning, and we would take an Orange Theory class together, which
Oh,
was good because there's the cardio and the strength
right.
training. And it actually was quite impressive because I didn't know he could run at 10.0 on a treadmill. I was like, see, you
Well,
don't know unless you
that's
try.
really good.
Yeah. So yeah, he's starting college in the fall. So I'm hoping I've instilled some, parenting in the aspect, like, you need to make fitness in one form or another part of your life.
Mhm.
So if you want to have the screen time, you want to have the cookie, you're still like doing something to benefit your health while you have those other like joys. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's so cool. So I'm just trying to think of what else we can think about that really inspires us every day with fitness. Um, Jordan, I think for me, and I'm not going to lie, just the fact that I look and feel better in my clothing. It makes me feel good and I look better and I feel better. So there's something for that sort of physical aspect as well as the health benefit.
Yeah. No,
So,
I think the majority of women can relate in that. It's because not only are you going to be more confident, but you're also going to, have a good energy about you.
right, the vibe that comes off
Yeah.
from when you feel, here, let's just be honest. When
Yeah.
you when you look good, you feel good,
Absolutely.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
And our society is one where we're all so super busy. Again, we're talking about screens and screen time and not enough movement. But, when push comes to shove and you've got maybe, say, your son or daughter's wedding coming up in the future and you want to look good in that mother of the bride dress, hey, you got to put the time in,
Yep.
So that I think is something that's so important. And again, just no excuses. There
Yeah.
is really no excuse. Again, we get up at the crack of dawn to fit fitness into our lives, and we're all the better for it.
Absolutely. And even if, maybe it's something that you're new to, everybody has to start everyone has to start somewhere so you might not be at the level you want to be, but that's something you can work toward. You can set a goal for yourself to work toward, like, maybe I want to run an 8-minute mile, and right now I'm running a 12-minute mile. If you start just working toward that goal and like little by little pushing yourself, you can get there. Same thing with your weight. Like, you want to lose 4 pounds, find a plan, set your plan, give yourself a goal, and then you get from point A to point B.
And speaking of weight, most importantly, I always say for a lot of people, please do not weigh yourself every day.
No.
It's the biggest mistake because people don't understand that water shifts in the body.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to gain 4 pounds, let's say, for example, overnight. Okay. Someone will say to me, well, last night I went to bed and I know I was only 130 pounds. And I woke up this morning and stepped on the scale and I was 134 and a half. Impossible.
Yeah, it's
you can't go by the number. You have to go by how you feel and how you
fit.
look, and exactly how your clothes are.
Yeah, even like for a female who's putting on an additional muscle, that's going to weigh more than fat.
Exactly.
So I always say, like, to your point, like, how are you feeling? How are you, like, looking? Like, maybe your arms are more cut. Maybe you weigh 2 pounds more because you're, like, have these amazing arms.
Right.
You never know. So, but my husband is obsessive. It, like, drives me crazy. He's like, I lost 4 pounds today. I'm like, oh, did you play pickleball for 2 hours and sweat it out? Yeah. That's probably what happened.
It's true. Anytime you see a difference in 2 to 4 pounds, it's water.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sorry to say, especially if it was just 24 or 48 hours went by. So, but what I would think would be a great thing to go into for our next podcast discussion is to talk about fitness modalities.
Absolutely.
Fitness modalities, anyone who follows me on Instagram, I post a lot of fitness things that are done actually on our boat, on the bow of our boat, which is kind of interesting in itself because you have that shaking and waking of the boat, but it really challenges core stability. And I love to add 2 or 3 different fitness modalities while I'm trying to perform those routines. So there's kind of a school of thought, body weight or a fitness modality, or you can alternate between the two. So I think we'd kind of like to speak on that next week. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's so many, again, like classes, there's so many different options, and like we can kind of discuss the benefit of each of those and the different variations that you can incorporate those into your fitness routine.
Yep.
And
maybe ask questions. I don't know. I mean, we could probably get some DMs on Instagram. I'm at Colleen Fit Pro. And Jordan?
Well, you can find me 2 ways, but you can find me at a Fit Girl and Her Dude, but it's DOOD.
Short for doodle.
My doodle. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. And then, so tune in next week and we'll be discussing all the fun things, the toys of fitness.
All the modalities that we love and love to hate to love, and would love to get anyone's feedback. And we're so excited to be starting our Fit Bells podcast. Our sign is in order.
Yeah.
Which is going to be coming from our friends at Amazon soon, but that'll be plugged in the back and you can see our beautiful Fit Bells brand. And we're excited.
Yes, we love it. So we hope to see you guys or hear you guys.
Hear from you guys the next time. Yeah. And in the meantime, keep on moving, says the Fit Bells.
That's right.
Movement matters.